because nobody else is going to understand the process that you had to go through in order to get to this point in your life, to become you. All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the NFS podcast. I hope that you are having a great day. I hope you did something today that pushes you forward in your life, and I know that I say that every single time, but let me specify a little bit on that part specifically. When I say I hope that you did something today that pushes you forward in your life, I mean that literally anything. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world, and it could literally be one of the smallest things that you do today, but whatever it is that pushes you towards the direction that you want to go, I commend you for that, for taking some action and doing something that really moves the needle forward. Now, I gotta say it right now. Like I fucking love you guys. Let's be 100% real here. I fucking love you guys. As of today, the day that I'm recording this podcast, we are officially over 1,000 downloads. That is insane to think. Now, does that mean that there's 1,000 people that have listened like through the way or, whatever? I can start to beat myself up on these tiny things and have a bunch of self-doubt about it. But at the end of the day, this is an astonishing thing for me. The fact that there is at least, a small amount of people that are listening to this still is fucking amazing. And to give a heads up that this is the end of season 1. Now, to be completely honest, I started creating these as a season, and I don't really know what that means or whether it's going to go or what's it going to lead off to. But I think at the end of every single year, I'm just going to craft it off as a season and see how things go there. That way it can kind of be in line. And maybe every single year of my life for, what is that? If I release one of these every single week, and there's 52 weeks in the year, that means by next year we'll get a little bit over 60-something, close to 70. So I think if I make it a season every single time, then, it'll be interesting. I can dissect every single year where I'm at mentally, what I'm thinking of, and see how I evolve over time. So there's a lot of self-reflection that goes after that. But that's enough of that tangent. So, yeah, I really wanted to just, give my appreciation for you guys for sticking with me and making this a dream come true. I don't even know what to say. If it wasn't for you guys, there's a lot of things in my life that I don't think would have gone a certain way. And I have to be thankful. I have to be as appreciative as I can. And I want to give, a little update too on how things are going with me. Not only just with not only with the podcast, but with everything else. I am astoundingly happy with how things are going. I'm happy that I'm starting to fill in more of what I feel is my life and my duties to do for myself. And I'm still astonished. But I feel like I've grown a lot from not only just the beginning of this podcast, but this entire year. And I know if you want to go my synopsis, you can listen to my last podcast episode, An Ode to 2020, but that's not what this one is about. But there's so much that has happened in such a short amount of time, and it's crazy. For the past a little over a year, I believe it was August of last year is when I sold my truck to pay off debts. And now it is December 29th. And so for Christmas Eve, I gave myself a present and I bought myself a car. With my money, 100% cash, nobody hanging over my head. I bought a car. And it's a 2000 Lincoln Town Car. It's nothing crazy. It's nothing special. It's not shiny. You're going to bring any attention to anybody. But I got to know that this is such a big sign for me and my life and the things that I want to do and the messages that are going on in my brain and the way that I'm thinking, because it is a token of freedom. It is a prime example of me doing something that has pushed me further in my life and has made me appreciate things and has made me a better person to this day. And I'm just so thankful for you guys, and I'm thankful for everybody else that has had remotely anything to do with the process that I am currently in and the process that I'm currently going through in order to grow myself as a person, in order to grow myself as an individual, in order to grow myself as a everything that I could imagine. And I feel like I've entered in a new chapter in my life. I feel like I've entered in a new persona that I'm developing. And I specifically say developing because it's not to fruition. It is not where I want it to be. and there's still a lot of work to get done. But I'm starting to become Never Settle Daniel, which is weird to say. It's weird to say, but for any of you guys that are on Instagram, there's this guy. His name is Charlie Jubilee, but he used to go by the name CEO Charlie, and he was all about making money. He won some Grammys in the music industry. He produced for 2 Chainz. He did a lot of good shit, but he was severely overweight, and there were life-threatening things that came from that. And that part of his life may not, it was very special from the outside looking in. I mean, you got to think about it. So this person has everything, the money, the wealth, the attention, but he wasn't happy with himself. And so he kind of changed his perspective. He changed his persona to Charlie Rocket. And that is someone that goes out and does stuff and gives and loves and treats himself the way that he needs to be treated, and is attentive to things that matter. And it's a giant mindset shift from CEO Charlie to Charlie Rocket. And why I think this is such an eye-opening experience for me is because I feel like I've recently changed in my persona now to Never Settle Daniel. Now, I know Never Settle is the name of this podcast. I know Never Settle is a brand that I am developing. I know Never Settle is a fitness company that I'm trying to develop from the ground up. And I also know that I'm moving extremely slowly in each of these facets. I don't feel like I need to rush anymore. And Never Settle Daniel is slowly becoming who I am. And it's one day at a time, like everything else. Like fitness, like your work, like family. It's one day at a time. I can't rush it. I can't expect more than the 24 hours I am given. I can only expect more out of myself. And to make sure that I am also taking care of myself is a main priority, and that I am not in any way screwing anybody else over. And I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt to absolutely every person and understand that everybody has their own shit. And there's no reason why I should be worried about what somebody else is doing if I myself have things that I have to work on. And so it's just brought a lot of things. I don't know. I'm excited. Like, and also, quick update. I know. I've been talking about sweaters and beanies and all that shit for a long time. The beanies will be done. It is the 29th as of today. They'll be done in roughly 10 days. So if you were excited to get a beanie and you were itching to get one, that will be happening relatively soon. And sweaters will be running not behind schedule, but they'll be coming after the beanies. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind that and the reason why that's happening. But nonetheless, I promise they're coming out. I have a bunch of stuff ordered. I got a bunch of sizes, and I'm still trying to add more. If you would like one, please let me know. And of course, if you're sticking around right now, and I feel like this entire first 10 minutes is a giant promo, intro, and everything in between, but that's because I'm closing out the chapter, all right? So this might be a little bit of a longer one, so strap in. Of course, if you're listening right now, I don't want to charge anything. I don't expect you to buy anything from me. I'm trying not to do anything with this podcast specifically that's going to just take money out of your wallet for absolutely no reason, or take the time out of your day with sponsorships or anything like that. I want to keep it 100% free, 100% just filtered, unfiltered, and ready to go. So if you could do me a favor, drop a review on Apple Podcasts. And now I'm on every major podcasting platform but Pandora so far. I'm still waiting for that request. So we're talking about Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm on Stitcher now. I'm on Alexa, which is crazy to think that you can yell at your Alexa and tell it to play my podcast. But that's insane. But yeah. But all I ask is that you leave a 5-star review. I checked the other day because I thought that I didn't really have any, and some of you guys said some very sweet things that really drove it home to me how much you guys appreciate, or how much I appreciate you guys for the kind words that you said. I don't want to mess that up. Yeah, but of course, the more the merrier. If you have a shit review to leave me and say this guy's a fucking asshole, don't listen to him, by all means just put that out there. I'm not gonna negate that I don't have my own problems, but I want to make sure that you are able to vocalize your voice and give everybody else the opportunity of understanding what this is about. And I think the coolest part about that is By saying that sentence, I admit to myself that I'm okay with failing and falling flat on my ass, which is which is a really freeing statement to say. Because I know I talked about failure. I know there's the 99 to 1 mindset that I talked about in one of the first podcasts on here, where I fail at 99% of the things, but the 1% gets me a little bit closer to my dreams, and the 1% is the thing that works. But when I was a kid, I was put into a specific program. And this is going to tie, I know this seems really just abstract all of a sudden to jump to my childhood, but just follow along with me. Usually these things all stick together cohesively. But when I was a kid, I was put into a program, and it was called the Gifted and Talented Education Program. It's called the GATE program. And I was put in there, and recently I've been looking a lot more into kids that went through that program and ended up actually not succeeding in what they're doing, and they actually got put behind in life because of an ego boost at such a young age. And I want to bring a little bit of awareness to this. Now, granted, that's not saying every single person that went through that program is destined to fail, but there are some things that I can relate personally. And I vaguely remember how it all started. I just remember in elementary school, I took a test, and they said, "Hey, you could be really smart. Like you did really well on this test. So we want to put you in these different classes. We're gonna start teaching you the grade level above you, and we're going to accelerate things. And you're going to be in a class with everybody that passed this test as well and is considered extremely smart." And so I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm getting ripped away from my friends right now because I have to move schools, but you know what? Sure. And up until that point, I always had, a good amount of self-doubt for myself, but this program was like, it was supposed to be it. And so you go through the program, and you're essentially told, to an extent, like, this is a very big synopsis, so don't burn me at the stake. But you're pretty much told that, you're smarter than most of the kids around you, so you're supposed to do good in life. Like, essentially the idea is, like, you should succeed because you have a leg up a little bit. And so that's kind of the general synopsis of it. Now I go through middle school, and I don't give a shit, and I don't really try. And then I go through high school, and I don't give a shit, and I don't really try. And I'm doing the bare minimum. And I exit, and I go to college, and I don't feel necessarily motivated. Even to this day, I want to focus more on the things that I enjoy doing, the things that I love doing. And this is why I do this podcast. This is why I love to go to work. I love to work hard. And I love to do these things. And I love teaching myself things that I want to learn about. But there's a little psychosis that goes beyond it, that there's a lot of kids out there that are stuck. And this is the part of my life where I was probably most entrenched in fucking up, and most entrenched on trying not to do anything that would be a mistake, because it made me scared to fail. It made me absolutely terrified to fail. And I didn't even know that. Now, the expectation for myself was always extremely high. And not only was the expectation extremely high, because I feel like a lot of people have high expectations on themselves, but the expectation was high, and it was the reasoning that there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do this. There is no reason why you shouldn't. You're supposed to get here. This is this. This is this. And it drove home the idea, year after year after year after year after hearing the same exact messages, that you're supposed to be one of the better ones. You're supposed to be one of the best ones. So if anything is subpar besides that, then you're failed. You didn't do it. That's where you're supposed to be. You fill your position, do your job. And now fast forward to, God knows, 10 plus years later, or probably not, but maybe like 5 or 6. But I realize I enter outside of high school, and I don't really know what the hell I want to do, because there's nothing around me, and there's nothing that's forcing me to do one thing or the other. There's no set regimen, there's no set schedule. I got a job, and I'm gonna work that job, and I'm gonna do the best that I can, sure, but I'm trying to figure out ways to take shortcuts, and I'm trying to figure out ways to just do other things that aren't gonna necessarily push me forward. And that's probably the deepest I've ever been in a hole of just not understanding what I'm going to do, what I want to do. I'm feeling 100% lost in the things I'm doing. Now, I'm saying there's a correlation here. And I'm saying all these things because it's a position that I feel like I finally broke free of. just recently too. This isn't a, oh, he did this a long time ago. I've been looking at this very under a certain microscope for the past, handful of months now, when it first brought to my attention that it's like, oh, this might be why I had a really big ego issue, and I thought that I was better than I am, and I wasn't exactly the most humble person about it. And I'll be the first one to say that I thought I was a know-it-all. I thought I was better than everybody because I knew that if I didn't try, I'd still be able to ace the test. Or even if I didn't try and I didn't do any of the work, that I would still be able to slide by and get to the next step, and I wouldn't have to worry about anything. And that was a really, really, really bad way to look at the world, a bad way to look at myself, a bad way to look at every single thing I did. And it instilled self-doubt because all of a sudden, everything that I did, people weren't happy with, because I would do the bare minimum. I wouldn't give a shit about anything. I would just kind of like fly by and find any way to make my life more simple, more easier, less resistance, and just quite literally try and fly under the radar with as little consequences as possible. And that developed me into a person that I do not enjoy being, that I don't relate to, that I don't want to be. And it gets hard. It gets hard because then you got to look back, and this is all about self-reflection. This is the season 1 closer, so this is all about self-reflection. But it created this vacant hole inside of me. Like everybody says, oh, there's this void in my chest that I can't get over. But it quite literally left this, well, I mean, not literally, but it left this hole in my chest of not feeling fulfilled, not feeling like I tried. And then every single time I look back, I'm disappointed at the efforts that I've given, because I know now that I could have done a shit ton better and ended up somewhere else. But then I also have to have the humility and understand that if I didn't do those things, if I wasn't in that bad of a situation for myself because of my mental, then I wouldn't be where I am right now, doing something that I genuinely enjoy and genuinely love to do. And there's so many things that go on in the rattle back and forth, but it's all clicked now. And I think one of the biggest things that clicked for me, well, it's not that I think, I know, because it took my breath away. And not in the romantic, like, ooh, he swooned her, like, took her breath away. Like, after that, I felt like I couldn't breathe for a second, because everything was just like pause. Because like I said, I grew up with a lot of self-doubt. I grew up with the mindset of, I'm not worth these things. I'm not worthy of these things. I'm not worthy of having these, that I'm not supposed to have these. And a defensive way of thinking about that is literally saying like, oh, I'm not supposed to have these things, like, or my life, I'm not supposed to do these things, or, having that thing where it's like apprehensive, but it's everybody else's fault besides your own. Like having that thing where it's like, oh, this is just something we don't do. This is something that I don't do. I'm not supposed to have these things. I'm not supposed to have nice things, because what if I break it? I'm not supposed to, save money, because what if I lose? Like, I'm not supposed to, like, whatever it is. You can attach this to any situation, because I have probably been in a ton of those situations. But I was listening to a psychologist, a doctor, and he was talking to a group of kids that were also in the same thing, that were all gate kids, kids that were deemed gifted. And he explained something. He said, the reason why you don't try and you have so much self-doubt about yourself is because you believe you're not worthy, you're not worth it. But you have to understand that you deem yourself not worthy, so you're denying yourself the ability to go out and get it. And when I tell you that hit me like a brick of what am I trying? Like a brick wall. I couldn't catch my breath. Because it makes so much sense. Now I'm in such a better mind state that I'm able to go out and take these things, and I'm open to failure, and I'm open to facing the consequences of the decisions I make. That doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy them every single time, but I'm open to failing. Failing is the equation. It is the route to success. You want to fail as strategically as you can. But everything that I wanted to do in life, everything that I wanted to take an opportunity on, the things that I couldn't say, the things that I couldn't speak on, the things that I wouldn't commit to, or the things that I said I was going to do and didn't commit to, all stem from myself. all stem because of the self-doubt and the feeling of not being worth it, of not being worthy of the things that are coming my way. And the fog has been lifted. It's fucking gone now. Like, I'm still going to have problems. That's not a surprise to anybody, I don't think. I'm still going to have things and have days where I feel like a stick in the mud and where things aren't going exactly to plan and that I'm not enjoying the process. But I understand that now. And I want to plant something in you. I want to plant this idea in you. And I don't know if I've talked about this before. I feel like I may have touched on it a little bit, but I don't know if I've talked about this before. And Jeff Logan, a dude that I admire a lot for the things that he's been able to accomplish, but not just the things he's been able to accomplish, just the fact that he is committed to such good things and such good core values that he really expresses. But self-doubt and feeling worthless is almost, I would say, like 99%. Like, there's just let's talk about brain chemistry and just say that there are certain chemicals in your brain, especially that lead to feeling depressed, and like hormonal imbalances and chemical imbalances that lead you there. But all that shit aside, so like the 0.01% of this, the feeling of worthlessness and doubt are not your own thoughts, are not the thoughts that you're naturally having inside of your head. Everybody uses the analogies of an infant because it's a good fucking analogy. Let's be real here. When a kid is learning how to walk or to literally do anything, they go for it and they fail, and they go for it and they fail. They go for it and they fail. They don't try and walk, take a couple steps, fall on their ass, and like, oh, I'm a fucking idiot. Why did I try to do that? I'm never going to get it. I should just give up. But we grow up and we try something and it doesn't work out the first time. We're like, I'm fucking dumb. I shouldn't have done. Like, imagine being 50 years old. I don't know. Or if you can't skate, this is probably a better example. If you can't skate, kudos to you. I don't know how to. But imagine. You're a kid, you're a teenager, whatever. You fall off a skateboard one time and you're just like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not good. This is stupid. I'm out. And then every single time that there's anybody riding a skateboard, you're very pessimistic towards them. You're just like, oh, that's fucking stupid. Why do you do that? It's dumb. And you didn't realize that over your entire lifetime that you developed this pessimism because it's something you can't do. But then you go back to when you were a teenager, a kid, or whatever, and you try to skateboard and you fell. And you have self-doubt about yourself because you started developing the connections because other people told you if something doesn't work out, then maybe it's not supposed to be. It's not meant to be. If something isn't, it doesn't just seem easier, it doesn't come to you, or like, it's not meant to be. Or people telling you that it's like, oh, you fucking don't know how to do this. You fall off your skateboard and all your friends are like, oh, you're fucking dumb. You shouldn't have done that, da-da-da. Like, giving you a hard time, like busting your balls. But you develop this self-doubt, this voice inside of your head that every single, I am very confident that every single person on this planet has self-doubt on their mind. You can talk, the Dalai Lama probably has self-doubt on his mind. But it's this voice that talks to you. The voice that talks to you when something doesn't go to plan. It's like, hey, don't do this. It's not meant for you. It's not meant for you at all. I don't know why you think you're good. I don't know why you think you should do this. But let's just cut it out right now. It's not a big deal. Nobody's gonna care. Just, you're not good at this. Give up. That's self-doubt. And feeling unworthy of a thing comes hand in hand, almost. And let me explain. Because if you have self-doubt about something, you don't believe in yourself. And if you don't feel worthy, you don't believe that you should have a thing, or you should be in a position, or that you aren't capable of being in the situation that thing provides for you. And so if you have self-doubt, you almost 100% don't feel like you're worthy of things. And if you don't feel like you're worthy of things, you won't allow yourself to be in a situation in which you can take that opportunity or create the opportunity for yourself in order to get to that next step, to that next level, to that next thing, to be happier, to be wealthier, to be more of who you are trying to be in your life. Because that's all that's keeping you away from. Like fear. Fear is just a reaction in our brain to keep us surviving. If you see a bear, you should probably be scared. You should be fearful. It's like, oh shit, it's a bear. It could tear my face off. But your body's putting you in a space that it's like, okay, how are we going to survive? Because this is a high level threat. But then when we become fearful of our opportunities, because we doubt ourselves, because we don't think we're worth it, so it makes us nervous because it's a high-level threat, because if we fail from it and things go wrong and people judge us and everybody's talking stuff and then I disappoint my family and like if you start rambling in your head like that, giving yourself all these reasons for the self-doubt, you shoot yourself in the foot and you stop yourself right in your tracks from achieving anything that you want in life. And let me tell you, I'll be the first person to say that I have doubted myself day in and day out, woken up on days that I just say all I'm doing is talking shit inside of my head and nobody sees it and I cover it with a smile. I will be the first person to tell you if nobody has told you that yet. But you have to understand, that's not your thoughts. That is not you. You have to bring out the positive. You have to bring out the belief. You have to bring out the faith. And even if your heart is racing at 1 billion miles per minute and you just feel like it's such an overwhelming situation and that whatever it is that you're trying to seize, that you're feeling doubtful about, go for it. Because at the end of the day, and this is real talk right here. At the end of the day, nobody's going to do it for you. I've said that probably 10 or so times already, but nobody's going to do it for you. And not only will nobody do it for you, you can't do it for anybody else. You can't make somebody happier. You could do something that, maybe cheers them up, but you can't make them like internally happy. They have to come to terms with that. Let me do this from the outside looking in, because this might be a little bit easier if we work from the outside in. You can't just make somebody happy. Someone has to come to peace with themselves. You can do whatever you want, make them laugh, smile, giggle, like whatever. It'll make them, happy, smile, crack a smile, feel a little bit good about themselves. Like some people, you might make their day. But at the end of that, if they still have a lot of self-doubt and they're doubting themselves, like you can't come to terms with it. You can't truly come to terms with whatever you're trying to do. Same thing. You can definitely piss somebody off and do that. We see that all the time. But you can't do something for someone else. Just like working out. If I work out, you don't get any bigger, you don't get any stronger, you don't get any faster. I do. I can't reciprocate that for you. You have to put in the effort. You have to do whatever. I can give you whatever you need. I can give you a meal plan. I can give you a workout list. I can give you a regimen, but that's not going to change you until you do the work. Now let's flip it around right here. Internally. If your thoughts every single day for every single thing you do are just telling you like, no, you're dumb. You don't know how to do this. I don't know why you try. You should just give up. You should just stop it. Just cut it out. Like you're not meant to do these things. You're not meant for great things. You're not meant for a better life. And you just listen. Guess what you're going to think? You're going to think that all those things are true. Because it's what you're listening to all the time. You're listening to the thousands of tiny comments that people have given you over your life. And I want it to be very clear. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck who instilled that in your brain. If it was your mom, your dad, your cousins, some random kids that you went to school with, people that you work with now, coworkers, like whoever it is that instills those ideas, that say those things and have those doubts, fuck them. Now, I'm not saying cut off ties with your family or stuff like that. Like if they say those things and it's, they clearly don't understand, like that they're probably not meaning to fucking drag you through the mud, but fuck them. Because at the end of the day, if you have self-doubt, you're going to be unfulfilled. If you don't have the ability to go out and do the things that you want and understand that you are capable of so much fucking more in your life than what you settle for, what you let happen, that you're unstoppable. Let's really be real here. Every single thing that you've done has been you. Like everything that you have physically done has been you. Are there people that are born into wealthier families, are born into poverty, everybody has a different set of cards that they're faced with. But how you play your cards, that's the most important part. But then if you're playing your cards right and the other person doesn't know what cards you have, and they're just assuming and they're telling you how to play your cards and you follow along and you fucking lose, that's on you. because you listened. You listened to the doubt. You listened to what other people had to say. You listened to the bad advice, and you let yourself fall flat on your ass thinking that it is their responsibility to give you the code or to give you the key to take action. Because you know damn well that you could ignore the advice because you know what you want. You know what you're trying to do. You understand how to play your cards. You might not know in the moment that it's not revealed yet, but you're trying to play your cards right, and you're doing the proper moves, you're doing the proper motions, and you're doing it because it is your hand that you are dealt with. Nobody else is going to see what your hand is. They might see a card or two. They might see a little bit, or maybe think that they saw something, but it's really something else. But nobody's going to see your full deck. Nobody's going to see everything that's going on. They're going to see what you show them. They're going to see what you allow to give them. They're going to see what persona it is. And at that same time, if you allow the world to see that you look for their admiration, you look for their consent, you look for their open arms, and that's the only way that you're going to go out and play your cards, or that's how you're going to go with it, then what you're doing is you're reflecting every single thing that you're going to do upon somebody else's opinion, somebody else's action, somebody else's voice, somebody else's everything, and you're not living for you. You're not living for yourself, for what you're trying to get done, for who you want to become. You're simply doing what everybody else is. Self-doubt is single-handedly one of the most detrimental things to each person's life. Now, let's not minimize things. I know very clear that it's an extremely bold statement with so many other things that going on to it. But for me, for how I view it, everything stems from having that self-confidence. If you're confident in yourself, that means you're sure. That means that no matter who on the table, no matter how many people around the table are telling you, play your fucking cards like this. You don't know how to fucking play this game. Play your cards like this. Hold it. Do it. Whatever. Just fucking listen to me. There's so much noise. There's so much sound that everybody's trying to be right. And the worst part about it is that every single person believes they are right. Everybody believes that they have the key to your life. Everybody believes that they are the singular person that's going to push things further. And that's such bullshit. That is such horseshit. You have to understand that you can't take what other people are going to say as the one and only fact, the one and only way, the only thing that's going to make you a better person. Because if it doesn't come and stem from your beliefs and what you're trying to get done and who you want to become, then none of it matters. Because nobody else is going to understand the process that you had to go through in order to get to this point in your life, to become you. You have to be yourself, and you have to trust so much and blindly into yourself and be able to bet on yourself day in and day out and know that you're going to play your fucking cards right and you're going to play them how you want to, because it is your fucking life and you deserve that chance. Oh, I'm fired up now. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry if I just rambled for a second and that was just annoying, but sometimes there's this, sprints where I think I just kind of like black out and I just go and go and go. So that was definitely one of those sprints. But that's what I'm saying, man. Or girl, or what, I don't know. I probably, however fire everything was, I just fucked it up right now. But that's what I'm saying. And I know I come from a fitness background. I come from an athletic background. I come from all that jazz. But you got to understand, like, I've told my story 1,000 times, and I'll tell you it 1,000 times again. I was filled with self-doubt. I was always told that it's like, oh, I'm just the skinny fuck on the team. Oh, I'm just why do you eat so much? It's like, it looks like your family doesn't feed you. Why are you trying? Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, that was always what I was told. And I had a lot of self-doubt. I just believed that I would kind of always be the skinny guy. Like, even as much as I worked out, as long as I work out, I'm never going to get to that level because everybody else is already at this higher level, and I'm not supposed to reach that because I'm not like them. They have better genetics. Their family has more money, so they can do stuff like, oh, look at the cool shit that they have. So they have the equipment to do these things, and I don't, and I don't even have a gym membership. How am I going to do this? Like, very anecdotally, in a very small sense, that's me. That's me. And now I've grown myself because I started to say, fuck all that. And there is an extent where I have a point to prove. And in the beginning, that point was to prove that everybody else is fucking wrong. That I can do this. That it's what I want to do. Or no, let me take that back. My point was to pretty much tell everybody else to go fuck themselves. That was the point. Fuck you, I got this. But as I evolve, I realize, it's not fuck you. It's, why is this something that you put out there? There's self-doubt inside of yourself. That's why you feel the need to go and do this to somebody else. And point number 2 is, I'm doing this for me now. What can I accomplish? What can I do? And very recently, I've never been an extremely spiritual guy, and I don't mean in the sense of religion. I mean more in the sense of, energies and universe and all this other fucking wild shit that people talk about. But I can't argue the way that I feel in these past couple of weeks. I felt like things have been kind of lined up, like ducks in a row, I guess is a good way to put it. I can't help but feel like I've been talked to and put on a path where it's like you're finally going the fucking direction that you were supposed to be going. We hit a fat ass pothole way back 3-4 years ago. We hit that pothole. You never hit that pothole, you would have gotten here a lot sooner. But you know what? Whatever. You learned from it, and if that's what it took to get you to this point, then guess what? We're here now. Like I said at the beginning, I think I said this at the beginning. I just bought a car. I bought a car. I did that for myself. With no help from anybody else. I bought a car. I have a small following of people that enjoy the things that I say, enjoy the things that I'm trying to do, enjoy the message that I'm trying to give and the knowledge that I'm trying to provide. I have a girlfriend who loves me. My relationship with my family has felt the strongest that it ever has, and that's a really big deal to me. I'm getting back into my workout routine, and I'm learning more about fitness that I've knowingly put off, at least at an information level. And I'm expanding my horizons in that aspect. I'm developing more as the person that I want to become. And now, I know that my passion is fitness. I know that I love it. I love seeing other people. That's also another thing. My passion isn't fitness for the sake of, I love that I'm trying to get as big as possible and gain muscle mass. I love people changing their lives for the better in a fitness and health standpoint, because I don't think there's anything else that would quite literally make that any more worthwhile. There's nothing to me that's worth more than your own health in your life. And I know that that's something that I want to do for the rest of my life, in some way or another. Things may change. I'm not a fortune teller. I don't know what's in store for me in the future. But I know that's what I want to do, and I'm doing it right now. I'm doing it in multiple ways, and I'm just starting out. Now I tell everybody, wait 10 years. 2020 has been the first. I wouldn't say it was the first full year. But 2020 is almost the first year that I've been on this journey and steadily committed. I want to say the beginning of this podcast is going to be kind of the marker of when I say I started. I pressed the start button and I fucking went for it. And it's crazy. I got to tell you, I still have self-doubt. I don't know if I've said that yet, but let me be transparent. I still have self-doubt. there's still times where things will happen and I hesitate and I hold on. But now it's changed from hesitate, hold on, and never do it to recognize that I'm in that situation and realize the only reason that I'm doubting myself is because I'm allowing what other people have told me to dictate my decisions. And from the amount of people that I've talked to, I can't name a single person that is doing the exact same thing I'm doing and trying to go after the exact same thing I'm doing. There's other people that are going towards success. There are other people that are doing stuff in fitness industry. There's other people that are doing podcasts. But I can't name anybody that is on my path because nobody is. Have that open mind. Have that reflection for yourself. Have the conversation. And now it brings me to something I'm actually quite excited about. I want to start a challenge, an official challenge. There's no rules, there's no regulations. You can start whenever you want. But the goal is that on the 1st, so we got a couple of days here, to do the Never Settle 100. Now, this came to me in a dream, which is kind of weird to think. Or I think I was trying to go to sleep and I was feeling restless, so it might not have really been a dream. But the Never Settle 100. It's simple. It's simple, is all it is. What is the Never Settle 100? For 100 days, you do two things. You do something that's going to gain activity in your life that is not already something you're going to do. So that means for all of you personal trainers out there that have to work out with your client, those don't count. Like, work out on your own time. And this, I want to clarify things because I know you're going to get really fucking lost in the weeds. You're going to be like, well, does this count? Does this count? Does this count? Listen. If you already go on walks, that walk does not count. If you walk your dog, that walk does not count. If it's something that is not, if it is something that is just part of your ordinary life, granted, if you're already working out, that doesn't mean you have to do two. But if it's something that's already a routine, if you like to just go on walks, that doesn't count. Do something that gets in a little bit of extra activity. If you want to go on a second walk, by all means, go on a second walk. If you want to pick up running, if you want to pick up cycling, if you want to go to the gym, do something. But 100 days. Every single day, do something that keeps you active. And secondly, 100 days. Do one thing. And I say this at the beginning of every single podcast. Do one thing that pushes you forward. In if you got a business, in a business. If you have your education, in your education. And your relationships, your relationships. And I mean those three things. And I'll try to develop in the next 3 days like a little checklist or something. I'm just going to make it on Notion. But for me, business, education, relationship. Do something that makes someone in your family or a friend or somebody or your significant other, something that adds to that relationship. Learn something. If it means reading a chapter out of a book, if it means watching a 5-minute YouTube video on, I don't know, ADP absorption. Learn that. And as far as your business, that's 100% on you. Whatever you deem is valuable of that time. If it means making a sales call, make a sales call. If it means making a ClickFunnels page, make a ClickFunnels page. If it means writing a day of programming, write a day of programming, but something that pushes you further. 100 days. Now, this isn't any 75 hard. I'm not asking you to do a regimen of things, but what I'm asking is for you to do something. Anything. It's like 75 soft, if that. But 100 days. If you can keep yourself committed for 100 days and do those three things, imagine where you're fucking be. Now, I'm the commissioner of this challenge. This is something that I'm making, so I don't have a choice here. But I am excited to do it. I am extremely excited to do it. And there'll be a video coming out, hopefully within the next day or so, that's going to explain all of it. But Never Settle 100. The unofficial official name. Well, thank you for listening to me. This is crazy that this is going to be almost a 45-minute podcast. Usually, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I'm trying to stretch it out to get to that 30-minute mark. And I'm like, how do I have more stuff to talk about? But this went by extremely fast. And I'm glad that you came along with me on this journey. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you guys. Season 1,